Do you think they could be better together?
Yeah, I think they'd definitely be better together because both of their streaming assets at Paramount Plus and HBO Max are subscale, but you put them together, they would be bigger than Netflix or the Disney Plus bundle with Hulu. So that would make them, they got way too much debt over at Paramount. When you put these companies together, especially if you issue equity to do the deal, suddenly the enterprise isn't as over-levered, and we've got a world-class cost cutter at Warner Brothers Discovery. So we think they could get $1 billion to $2 billion worth of cost cutting if you put these companies together, which would de-lever the enterprise much faster than either company can de-lever standalone. So we think these two companies are worth more than the sum of their parts. Importantly, Amazon and Apple, our DC contacts said, would not be allowed to buy Paramount or anything else really, but not be allowed. And because Paramount owns CBS, which is a broadcaster, Disney can't buy it because they own ABC, nor can Comcast buy it because they own NBC. So the number of people that are big enough and could buy Paramount, including the CBS, is sort of limited to Warner Brothers. It's sort of the only bidder.
So on that point of Paramount having something that Warner Brothers doesn't, CBS, a traditional broadcast network, in the Axios report, they made this idea that Warner Brothers executives see that as a reason that it might pass the regulatory test, that they are acquiring something or would acquire something that they don't already have.
I agree with that. And also, regulators really care about the number of local voices. And CBS broadcaster, in the hands of Paramount, where the debt is $15 billion and the equity is $10 billion, which actually has the risk of financial distress, which means CBS might cease to exist, they would be happy, I think, to put it with Warner Brothers Discovery, where the whole enterprise becomes less leveraged overall, which increases the chance that CBS can survive as a local voice in every market.
I think back to Sun Valley earlier in the year, the same existential question still is there. How do you make any streaming platform profitable? And in that respect, Laura, how would this deal achieve that?
So everybody's raising price, right? We have streamflation. I mean, streamers are taking their price.
Streamflation, nice.
Streamflation up 30 to 50%. So everybody's raising price, and you must cut content costs. You must, and they all are doing that. So we're getting higher prices for consumers and lower original content. So the consumer's getting squeezed in this, but Wall Street and the consumer are often at odds, and it is time to play Wall Street's game because these stocks are down 60 to 70% because Wall Street is moving capital out. Unless you consolidate, which drives earnings per share growth, or unless you get profitability in your streaming assets.
What other configurations do you see, Laura? If this is, to you, the better outcome, what are the other areas? What asset sales are you anticipating? We keep on talking about it around Paramount, but sometimes market narratives get ahead of actually what would really occur.
So, we think that the streaming, so right now, consumers have 5 streaming platforms, and the biggest frustration for consumers is it feels like no matter what they're paying for, the content's on something they're not paying for. Super frustrating for consumers. So, I think at the end of the day, there are 3 big streaming platforms total. Amazon Prime, my opinion, will be one of them because Amazon, the entity, never needs to make money on its video service. So Amazon Prime winner. I would guess that the Disney bundle winner, although I would like to see Apple buy Disney, but can't be done so long as we have the current administration because big is bad in Washington, D.C. right now. So then that's the third. A lot of people will put Netflix in that camp, which means there isn't room for Peacock, which is owned by Comcast. There isn't room for Paramount, Warner Brothers. But it just tells you there should be more consolidation in this group, into larger entities.
Well, all you've just done is list off every subscription I have in my household. And you raise a good point that that's a lot. I mean, let's go back to the point that content is king, right? And this deal, we'll do Apple and Disney on another day. Paramount and HBO Max, from a content perspective, I think of The Last of Us being my favorite series of the year. Is there a content advantage to doing this, Laura?
Yes, absolutely. One of the largest and high-quality film libraries sort of on planet Earth is that Warner Brothers library. CBS, which was the #1 TV network, okay, with NBC taking like 6 years, for the last 50 years, has the largest television library. So putting these two libraries together, you end up with sort of an unparalleled, enormous IP content library that you can then make sequels from or license to other people. So yes, the library would become best in class, and that then feeds your streaming app, which would be the combination of HBO plus Paramount Plus. So you get a really big streaming app, and you would have the option to license content to other streaming apps if you wanted, like Netflix, if they wanted to pay a fortune for a couple of your Mission Impossible movies, or ER, some of your, great NCIS, some of your great CBS long-running TV shows.